Hello, Lieutenant Kayla Detmer here from Star Trek Discovery, here to ask you to join in with Commodore Ty to discover the world of pop culture. The adventure has begun.
Incoming message from Commodore Ty.
Hello, this is your Commodore Ty Coles here with a special guest, the one, the only, the amazing, beautiful, talented Canadian actress, producer, Brigitte Kinglsey.
Incoming message.
Thank you for coming in and agreeing to this interview.
Sure, yeah, no problem.
Can you talk about being in the Canadian film industry?
Okay, in terms of working in the Canadian film industry, it's such an incredible place to work. I mean, we're lucky because it's a small enough industry in Canada that a lot of people know each other, and through the years we've gotten to create our own little team within that world that collaborate together. It's a very supportive world. Every day is different. Every experience is super fun. And it's just a nice place to be. I've always dreamt of being in the industry. When I was a little kid, it was always my goal. So it's been nice to sort of grow and become a part of it.
Can you tell us about your first experiences in the industry?
So my first audition was for a commercial. And I remember I walked in and they said, "Can you do the scream for Home Alone?" Does the ah. And I was so shy and I had no idea what I was doing. So I just kind of did like the worst little scream. And then I walked out and I'm like, oh my God, this is terrifying. There's people sitting, across from you and they're all sort of judging you. And it was a crazy experience as my first audition. But then you sort of get used to walking into a room and you get used to the nerves. So I think throughout my high school, I did a lot of commercials. I think my very first one was a Foot Locker commercial. And then as I sort of grew, I started auditioning for TV shows. And I did sort of a gaming show for several years called Game Nation, where I played a character called Suki Diefenbaker. And that was my real first experience in a TV show that lasted for numerous years. They never credited me as my real name, because at the time, I think there was problems with the show and fans that had gone overboard with the last host. So in order to protect my identity, they used the name Suki Diefenbaker, and I was never credited as Brigitte Kinglsey, which was fun. But they were such a great group of people, and I learned a lot from making TV shows with them.
Okay, about the game show, what was your role in the game show, and what was it?
It wasn't so much a game show. It was more about we would review video games. So I had a partner called Ted Head, and he lived in a television box. So it was just his head in a TV, and I was just a host with him. And we spoke about different games, PlayStation and whatever else gaming consoles were out at the time. And we would just review games, talk about them, what was good and what was challenging about each game.
Oh, sounds good. On your IMDb bio, it says you went to York. What was your experiences there, and how did it help you go forward in the film industry?
I always loved to act. So when I decided to go to university, at first I was going to go into science, or I had all these different ideas. But then when it came down to it, I talked to my theater teacher, and I was like, "Is it crazy to go study theater for university?" And he's like, "No, absolutely not. Do it." So I told my parents that I wanted to study theater, and they were very supportive. So that's what I did. It was a great experience. It was definitely different than what I expected it to be. I remember the first year of theater school was it was almost like therapy, because you go in and I've been fortunate enough to have a fairly a really nice childhood. I didn't have crazy emotional experiences up to that point in my life. So, they try to break you down, and they try to get you to reach your innermost emotions and all of that stuff. And I just kind of was like, I had a pretty good childhood, so I don't know. I don't have anything in there to like reach from. But it was such an interesting experience because it was all about getting in touch with your feelings and learning how to, bring them out in different scenes. And then as the years sort of went on, you sort of learn how to rebuild yourself and how you look at acting. When I started, I wanted to be in the industry because it was fun. It was cool. It was nice to play other characters. And I never really thought about the technical aspects of acting or, how much goes into it, like how to break down beats and intentions. And I think York really opened my eyes to acting as a craft and as an art, as opposed to being a little kid who just wanted to like be on camera, and I think on the flip side, going to theater school didn't prepare me for film world at all. We didn't learn how to audition. We didn't learn about agents or, all of that stuff. So that was a completely different journey once I graduated.
So once you graduated, you launched a production company.
I did. I graduated with the idea that, you get out there, you start auditioning with your new theater degree, and that you're going to land all of these great roles and these great parts. And I realized really quickly that that's not how the industry works at all. If you wanted to have certain roles, if you wanted to do certain things, that you would probably have to work for them yourself and create them yourself in this sort of industry, because Canada's pretty small. You're up against a lot of US stars. Like I remember going out to audition for Wonder Woman, and I'm like, 5'4" at best. And I was like, oh, I have a real shot to like, be Wonder Woman. And then I realized that that's not really how the industry works. And that your competition is so intense that if you wanted to play a superhero, you'll probably have to, make your own projects. So I met Andrew Simic, who also went to York, and he was a talented writer-director that I loved everything he did. So I approached him and I said, hey, like if you write a script, I will learn the business side. I will learn how to produce this. It might take us a long time, but let's do this. And he was completely game. So he wrote this great script, and he wrote a part for me in it. And I went off and tried to get money to produce it. And that's how my producing career started.
Okay. About the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what movie was it?
It was Medium Raw. So it didn't end up being the first movie we produced because it did take a very long time. It was a crazy dream where we were two kids at a university and we wanted to make a $1.5 million movie that we both starred in, and he directed and I produced, and we had no connections to the film industry. So it was literally, two kids knocking on doors saying, hey, give me $1.5 million so that I can star in my own movie. We didn't realize how challenging that would actually be because we were young and ambitious, and that was probably our biggest strength because everybody kept saying no and we kept not understanding why. We're like, well, someone's going to say yes because this is a great idea. And in the meantime, while we were trying to put that project together, we ended up doing the Dark Rising project, the very first Dark Rising film.
Are you ready?
Which was a much, much smaller budget. It was super indie, super small. And we're like, you know what, maybe we should learn how to make a movie before we, continue to ask for this much money from random strangers. So we ended up doing Dark Rising at a fraction of that budget, which taught us so much about filmmaking. And we sort of did that for a couple of years. And eventually Medium Raw did come together once we had more experience.
About Dark Rising, can you go more in depth about that movie? Because it feels like that's the one you're very well known for.
Yeah, it really started out as just an experiment to make our first film. So I had pitched Medium Raw to a company called Blackwalk. They had originally passed on it. They're like, well, it's a lot of money and all of this stuff. And So a few months later, the person who owns Black Walk gave me a call and said, "Hey, are you still looking for investors for Medium Raw?" And I said, "Yes." He's like, "Look, like we're not necessarily going to commit to that project yet, but I'll tell you what, if you come work in my office, I have an empty office. I've got phone, everything you need. Just come work, come use our offices for your own. And then the only thing I'll ask of you is to just pitch me anything else you're working on." So I was like, okay, cool. So I packed all my stuff and I started working out of the Black Walk offices, and they were producing a film that, in my opinion, was falling apart. And I was like, they're not going to go to camera with this film. So I knew they had some money to put into an indie film. I had just shot a Much Music show at the time, so I had a little bit of money in my account too. And I was like, you know what, if we pitch him something, maybe he'll go for it. So I walked into his office one day and I was like, "Hey, I've got like an indie horror film that I'm working on. I'm willing to put like a little bit of money into this. Do you want to produce it with us?" And he said, "Hey, like bring me a script on Monday and I'll read it and I'll see if I'm interested." So then I went home, I called Andrew, I was like, "Hey, Mike, you got 3 days to write a script because, I pitched it to this guy and I think he's gonna, support us." And so Andrew went up to the cottage and he wrote Dark Rising in 3 days. And he's like, "It's not so much of a horror film. I think it's more of an action comedy horror." I was like, "Cool, good enough." So I gave it to the company and they read it and they're like, "Love it. Let's shoot it in 3 weeks." So Andrew and I kind of jumped in and we just auditioned people and we started putting the pieces together, and it was kind of trial by fire. We didn't expect Dark Rising to anything to come out of Dark Rising. We had met a wrestler, Jay Riso, so Christian, who was in the WWE and TNA wrestling. We knew he wanted to act, so Andrew wrote him a part that was really funny and cute, and he decided to come on board.
Let me just say it out loud so it sticks. I'm the bait. Oh, balls to that. Hello, Mr. Demon.
And that first project just ended up being, I guess, the right project at the right time, and people just fell in love with it, and it grew to have quite a following. So then after that, we decided to pitch Super Channel, which was the Canadian broadcaster at the time. We're like, "Hey, why don't we do a TV show and a sequel?" And they were like, "Sure, let's do it." So before we knew it, within the next couple of years, we were producing, a sequel and TV show.
Summer, did you miss me?
And it just kept growing, and eventually we had 2 TV shows and 2 feature films based on these fun characters, and I got to kill demons and twirl knives and do fun stuff in a metal bikini, so it was a great life.
Really excited because I got to see your initial movie, and I thought it was really cool. It's really I like the action. You got sexy girls who throw down. What's better than that? Right.
So the character you played was Summer. How much of you is actually in that character?
I love Summer. She's definitely parts of me are in it. Like Summervale is basically she's a person who's grown up in a demon dimension. So she's never interacted with other humans. She has never interacted with men particularly. And so when she gets brought into our world through a spell, and she finds herself all of a sudden in a world with people, and she's just a killing machine. So to her, like there's no real connections that she knows of. She just kind of shows up and she kills things and she sort of has fun. And so I'd say the clumsy and sort of carefree, knife twirling part of her I relate to a lot. Just for, she's carefree, she's, and yeah. So I think we always put a part of ourselves in characters, right? So I really enjoyed playing her because she's a comedic role and I love doing comedy. So I think that aspect of things was really great.
You mentioned Black Walk. What's gone between you and them?
I think that's we had a great run together. I think we had 6 great years where I actually was president of Black Walk. I ran the company. It was a wonderful learning experience. And I think at some point we went our separate ways. We had different ideas of, what what direction to bring the company in, and certain guidelines that we would adhere to. And I think we just kind of went our separate ways at some point, and we started Good Soldier Films, which we've been doing since 2012. And yeah, but I still love the Dark Rising projects. I would in a heartbeat do Dark Rising 3, but it would be a matter of trying to come up with some cool deal that we can do together. Yeah.
Okay. You've worked with a lot of people. Who would you say is like your favorite people to work with?
My favorite people, there's so many. I don't know. I love them all. My favorite person to work with is Andrew Simic, because he's literally the best, and he's the creative mind behind all the projects we do. His talent is pretty much our where this all started, and it's what grows our company. I tend to be the business side of things, so I think having him as a partner has been amazing. In terms of actors and that kind of stuff, like we do have a team, a crew that we work with that I love dearly. We always bring out a lot of the same people. If you watch our movies, you'll see the same actors pop up over and over again. So all you have to do is research a couple of our films, and you'll see who some of my most loved people are. But honestly, anybody that we've worked with has been so amazing. Like I can't pick somebody over someone else. We've been so blessed to work with so many talented people.
So you act, produce, and direct. How do you manage to do all three of those?
So I actually don't direct. Andrew's the director on these films. I produce, I act, and I write. I started writing over the past year and a half, which has been so much fun. I love doing that. Producing and acting is sometimes challenging, because producing, anybody that produces, it's a full-time job. It's a lot of work. And when you're the lead actress and you're producing, it can be extraordinarily busy and extraordinarily challenging, because, you'll be in your metal bikini, and you'll be sort of on the phone trying to like figure out how to get, how to cast a couple more actors that need to show up in a couple days, or how to book hotels for an entire crew. And we shot a project recently called Astonishing Tales of Terror, Octopussy, which is sort of, it's in that same sort of genre, I'd say, as sort of like in the sci-fi comedy. It's very different than Dark Rising, but it has that same sort of fun fantasy element to it. And we were up north shooting, so I would be shooting scenes and then trying to figure out how to get an entire cast and crew up north during a snowstorm and booking hotels. So it's a lot. It's a lot of work, but I've been doing it for a long time now, and it's so much fun.
What genre do you prefer to do? Like, what's your one that you enjoy doing the most?
I think I do enjoy all of the genres that we do, for sure. They all have their, the things about them that I love. I'd say sort of when we do our passion projects, it's the sci-fi comedies. It's the Dark Risings. It's, Astonishing Tales of Terror, Octopussy. We've also done fantasy adventure like Night Cries, which all of those, I think they're closer to my heart in the sense that they're projects that we do for our fans. We do with them in mind. And then I also do a lot of the romantic comedies and the Christmas movies. And that's a little bit more on the business side, because our production company, we have sort of a strength in doing those, and I like writing them. And there's nothing better than showing up on set with Santa Claus and puppies. So that's also really fun, and it has its own world and its own pros.
I'll just say, which one would you prefer?
Okay.
So I'll say like DC or Marvel.
Oh, DC. So a DC house here, so.
Okay. Star Trek or Star Wars?
Oh, that's tough. The original Star Wars.
Follow up on that. What do you think of the Disney Star Wars?
Oh, that's a long conversation. I have my thoughts. You know what? I'm definitely a fan of like the original Star Wars. I liked. I'm a fan of staying very true to the characters. I definitely would have liked the new Star Wars to be a little bit more true to how the characters would have acted. I feel like they kind of took a swerve. I can see why a lot of people really like the Disney versions. I think if you're not attached to character developments and to like how people have been like sticking to rules, then I think I understand that they're fun, and I understand that there's definitely a value to them for sure. But in terms of being a fan of specific characters and how they would act and being true to those motivations, I feel like they took a swerve that I just didn't follow. So,
Do you have any upcoming projects that we can check out?
yeah, I mean, definitely stay tuned for Astonishing Tales of Terror Octopussy. I am so excited about that project. I think it's gonna be so much fun, and I think our fans are just gonna love it. It's fun, it's sexy, it's got heart, it's got a great message, and you know, I think it's gonna be quite a ride. It's gonna come out hopefully at some point this year. I actually have a call with our distributor after this call, so I'm excited to find out what they have planned. It will be released in the States and in Canada. In Canada, we're working with Black Fawn, and in the US, we're working with Shout Factory. So definitely keep an eye out for that, because you guys are gonna love it.
Okay. Outside of film, what else do you do?
I think film takes up like 99.9% of my life. You know, when we're not filming, then I'm writing, or I'm developing, or I'm acting. Like it's sort of all encompassing. In terms of hobbies, I mean, I don't know. I think it's a lot of film. If I have some time off, then I'd spend it with my family and friends, and we go on adventures. Yeah.
Sounds good. Is there a way for fans to find you on the social media?
Yeah, I mean, the best way to find me on social media is definitely Instagram. If you contact me through Instagram, I will 99.9% of the time I'll respond. It might take me a week or two to respond sometimes if I'm overwhelmed. But like I definitely do. I'm very active on Instagram. That's probably the best way.
Okay.
And it's at BEE Kingsley. So at B Kingsley.
Okay. And on your bio, you talk about, it says something about Good Soldier.
Yeah, so Good Soldier Films is my production company that I own with Andrew. We started in 2012. It's the company that we use to produce all these films. And we also have a distribution company called Defiant Empire. So
that's good. Anything else you have to say to the fans, or?
I think overall, just a big thank you to our fans. I mean, they are the reasons why we get to do projects. They're the reasons why we get up in the morning, that we're excited to do stuff. And what a great time in life that we get to have contact with our fans, and we get to sort of explore relationships through social media, which is fantastic. I do a calendar every year, so if anybody's interested, we have a store, www.brigittekingsley.com. We have a lot of swag there and things like that. So, yeah.
And you got any helpful advice for people like myself trying to get into the film industry?
What are you trying to get it? Like, what do you want to do?
I would like to do editing and post-production.
Cool. I think just doing it. The best advice I have for people, I always say this, like, the only difference with us and other people that maybe haven't made a career in the film industry yet is just the sheer determination of waking up every morning and doing it. So I think the first 10 years, I don't think we made any money the first 10 years just doing this. We did it purely out of passion. We'd wake up in the morning and be like, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? And we live right now in a time, like when we started, we didn't have the option of having our own channel and doing our own shows. And, but nowadays it's like just having your YouTube channel and putting together, go out, shoot something and edit your own project. All of those things, just learning the craft is the most important thing. If you learn the skills, then the career will come, because the knowledge is what you have to offer, right? The knowledge is the power in producing or editing or anything else. So yeah, just sort of get up, do it more than everybody else. If you do it more than everybody else, then you'll just get better than everybody else. And that's pretty much what it is. It's less about talent and more about determination, I think.
And we've been having some craziness outside. How hard has it been on the film industry?
I think we've been really fortunate in Canada anyways, where the film industry hasn't shut down. We've been able to film throughout the pandemic. It's definitely been challenging. It's been challenging for independent film because the cost of keeping everybody safe is pretty substantial. COVID tests are not cheap, at $180 a pop when you have to get every single person tested several times and every background and every, every crew member and every daily person that comes on set. It becomes really expensive. And it's essential, to be able to keep rolling is to keep people safe and to make sure nobody shows up with a positive test. So I'd say that's the biggest challenge. And there's also, it's just emotions, right? Like we've shot 3 projects during the pandemic and we finished a 4th. So it's like, I think some projects have been really, really great and easy because people are a little bit more relaxed and, but some people are really scared. And so when you have people that are more nervous on set, I think it's challenging because you want everybody to feel comfortable and to be able to act, and it's challenging for the actors because they can't wear a mask, right? So it's scarier for them. But to be able to perform and all of that kind of stuff, it's comfort level is important. So I think the way we've responded to that is just more tests, making sure nobody sets foot on set without having a negative test. So, but it definitely has its challenges for sure. Also locations are harder to find because nobody wants you in their house shooting, or a lot of businesses are closed and they don't understand that you can film a wedding with 150 people, but you just can't have a wedding with 150 people, which is, again, it's just a strange situation to be in. But it's
for my American viewers of my channel, where can they find any of your previous work?
I mean, stay tuned on Tubi. We're gonna launch a lot of our projects on Tubi, I think, soon. So keep your eyes out for that. You can watch some of our stuff on Hallmark, on Up TV, on BYU, Lifetime. Got a couple of projects on Lifetime. Baby Stealer, you should watch it. It's great. Christmas by Chance is on Lifetime, and obviously Netflix has some stuff. So I think I'm not exactly sure where everything is in the States, because once we sell it to a distributor, sometimes it just kind of goes into their hands and they just, they place it. But yeah, and you can also buy stuff on our website. We've got a lot of the films and things on my website.
Well, thank you for your time. I think I got what I need.
Cool. Thank you so much for your time. It was really nice talking to you, and I appreciate you taking the time to do the interview. And I wish you all the best on your career. I hope that you succeed very well.
Yeah, well, if you ever need like a PA or something and you're shooting in Southern Ontario, I'm available.
All right. Well, thank you so much. You take care.
Yeah, keep in touch.
Absolutely. Okay.
Take care.
Thank you again to Brigitte for taking her time to come on the show. And for the rest of you, this is your Commodore Ty Coles. Live long and prosper. Healing frequencies closed.
Thank you for watching the video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, watch one of my many other videos, and if you like what you see, you can support the channel by donating to my PayPal.
So, for Commodore Ty, live long and prosper all, and for now, until next time, the Hailing frequencies are closed.